The hyper-intelligent and super destructive Beast Titan finally emerges from the shadows in the highly anticipated second season of the 2013 anime hit, Attack on Titan. 4 years. We had to wait 4 years for the second season of Attack on Titan, an anime series which completely took everyone by storm. Even people who didn't like anime got into this series. I didn't even pay attention to it at first, but because of you guys, I decided to check out that first season, and from that day onward, I was a fan of the series. However, I am an anime-only watcher. I do not read the manga version of Attack on Titan, so you have to imagine how long it has felt waiting for the story to continue. I've had the opportunity to look at the manga series for the last couple of years, but I have stayed patient, and I am holding firm that the second season is just going to blow my damn mind. And the first episode of the second season, the 26th episode overall, completely blew away my expectations and proved that this show still can do some amazing things. One of my favorite things about this episode is how it rewards the viewer by not getting bogged down into too much recap. There's only a couple of minutes at the beginning of the episode which recaps the events of the first season. In fact, if you're going into this completely blind, you might be a little confused as to what's going on with all of these massive human-looking creatures which are devouring mankind one by one. My recommendation, check out the Funimation sets. They're beautiful, and it's a great way to digest the series real quick. What I love about these sets in particular, it's Blu-ray and DVD. Everyone wins. Picking up immediately from the end of Season 1, Annie is now trapped inside some sort of weird crystal, and a lot of members of the Survey Corps are being interrogated as they might have some sort of relationship with her. We actually get to see these crazy events which took place 12 hours before all of this crazy shit actually came to an end. And this is where we are formally introduced to a brand new form of Titan that we have never seen before. The Beast Titan, a massive Sasquatch-looking Titan which actually has the ability to speak and control Titans at the same time. He also happens to have one hell of a pitching arm in this great scene where he picks up this horse and throws it at Mike, or Mike, whatever the hell you want to call him. And that's definitely the most tense scene of this episode. I especially love the build-up to it. And what I think I love most about this episode is that we get to spend some time with some of the side characters of the series, who are in many ways more interesting than Eren is. And don't get me wrong, I was super excited to see that great scene where Eren decides to wake up and he looks at this scarf that's being knitted by Mikasa, but that's basically all you get from those characters in this episode, aside from some weird freaky imagery that is going on inside of his head. But going back to this scene where you have all these Survey Corps members who are being interrogated when suddenly they're attacked by this massive group of Titans, and none of them are ready to actually get into their gear. It would take too long. By the time they did that, the Titans would already be devouring them whole. So they decide they're going to get on their horses, scatter in multiple directions, and hope that they can survive and even help out some of the villages along the way. A lot of tension is brought to this scene by the fact that, one, Sasha and Connie, both of their respective home villages, are really close in the area, with Sasha wanting to go see her family, and Connie even more freaked out over the prospect that the Titans came from the south, the location of his village, which leads him to believe that his family has been completely ransacked and turned into Titan shit. Luckily, he is going to get a little bit of help from Reiner and Bertholdt, so they're going to go there and take them on while Sasha and their group escapes. And then you have Mike, who is like second only to Levi in the series, at least according to the characters in this episode. And he decides to take on the Titans themselves, which of course means we're going to get a really awesome action scene of these dudes flying around with lots of momentum, Spider-Man style, just completely wasting some Titans. And it's just as cool as it is in the first season. I especially love when they make these guys skid across the ground. It looks so freaking awesome. However, it's when the Beast Titan gets involved that things start to get really interesting. Out of just the corner of this guy's eye, he sees this massive Titan, which is covered in fur. It's like 17 meters tall, and it's slowly walking towards its horse, and then it picks it up and just tosses it across the landscape. It smacks into this top of the building, which sends Mike flying down, only to be captured by this super disturbing looking Titan with a massively deformed face, which immediately starts to chomp down on his torso, when suddenly the the Beast Titan stops. He stops the Titan from eating him and begins to talk to him. Mike is so scared that he can't even say anything, and the Beast Titan is only interested in the weapons and gear that he's using. He even decides to steal that from him, and then just decides to slowly walk away. But Mike is not going to give up without a fight. He yells at the Beast Titan, which causes him to allow the other Titans to go back and start eating and devouring him alive as the episode ends. Man, what a great way to bring this thing back. Like, it's so reminiscent of the first episode of Attack on Titan, where they end with this crazy event of seeing a human being get devoured. This one's even more terrifying, is how slow it actually goes. Slowly watching these Titans bite him from multiple directions, ripping him limb from limb, when you suddenly see his torso ripping apart at the very end, fade to black. And that's just the scene with the Beast Titan. There's a whole other subplot going on with the fact that there are these massive Titans which actually exist in the walls that they created. And they're completely confounded by this. Like, why the hell are there Titans here? Is there just one Titan? Are there Titans surrounding us from every single direction? What does this crazy religion have to do with it? You remember Pastor Nick from the first season? Somehow this asshole has managed to survive, and I have a feeling that their religious organization has something to do with these Titans being in the walls, and he doesn't necessarily want to talk about it. Hanji Zoe tries to interrogate him by quite literally holding him over the wall, threatening to drop him, and she gets really intense here, but no, she's actually just sort of putting on a face to try and get some information out of this guy, and he does end up living, and she just tosses him to the side. But it's a new, interesting story element that I can't wait to see what it's going to grow into, if there's this religious organization that's actually been tricking mankind this entire time, and why would they even put the freaking Titans in the wall in the first place unless they were wanting them to eventually escape? Although this guy is pretty freaked out when he realizes that one of their faces can be seen, but luckily since they've been away from the sunlight for so long, they're really weakened, so they're basically able to just put a sheet over this thing's face. They're gonna have to start re-bricking that wall pretty soon, otherwise everybody's gonna end up this damn thing's appetizers. So, what's the rundown on the first episode of the second season of Attack on Titan? I'm so glad the series is back. I really love, too, that we're going to get an intro that's very reminiscent of the original Gurren no Yamiya, which has become really iconic at this point, especially with its opening lyrics, and you get to see a lot of that reflected in the new intro, which just has some great imagery, a lot of it very reminiscent of the first, just a lot of crazy shots of the Titans ravaging the landscape, but I love this one shot where basically all the action begins, where you have all of the Survey Corps members who are running down the wall all at the same time, using their horses, using their maneuver gear. Of course, Mikasa looks so incredibly awesome, not to mention some great shots of the Armored Titan fighting against Eren in his Titan form. It's just got me so pumped up for this season, not to mention the prospect of the Beast Titan, which is really what I think most people are going to be talking about a lot this week. The concept of a Titan that is hyper-intelligent and has the ability to control others leads me to believe that this is probably one of the higher-ups of this whole, like, Titan organization. Like, he's the guy who's actually calling all the shots. He could be just a lower form, but I'm not sure. He's incredibly intimidating, and it's weird seeing one of these creatures actually kind of act like a human, and you can even tell that this guy's so confident in his extreme abilities and power that he doesn't fear this guy at all. That scene at the end, watching Mike just get completely ripped to shreds, was horrifying, and definitely ties into a lot of the classic scenes from the original first season, so they're definitely keeping the intensity there. I really love the subplot of Connie and Sasha, though. They're two characters that I really love. They're not, like, super powered, they're not the chosen ones, they're just regular people who are fighting to survive. There wasn't a lot of the classic trio of Eren, Mikasa, and Armin, but honestly, that's what was great about this episode, showing that it can rely on the strengths of its side characters and all of the things that they're going to have to go through. It also helps that this episode had some freaking great animation, just like the very first season. You can definitely tell where they're pouring it into the action scenes. They're all super fluid, super fast-paced, and just look great. Don't waste your time, Attack on Titan fans. The second season is here, and it must be seen. As a fan of the first one, I can honestly say this episode right here felt like a perfect continuation of what is a really great anime series, which is going to go down in history as one of the classics. It's great in every single way, from the characters to the animation to the atmosphere and its overall distinctiveness. That's what I love most about Attack on Titan. It's similar in many senses to a lot of other things I've seen in movies and TV, but it still manages to be its very own thing, and I love that. It's definitely carving out its very own kick-ass story, and I can't wait to see how it's going to unfold in this very fun season of Attack on Titan. Especially can't wait to learn a little bit more about the Beast Titan and what his overall role is going to be in the series, and the fact that he might even be a Titan shifter just like Eren and Annie. For all we know, this is a human character that we're familiar with in the series who has the ability to transform and is simply playing them from all sides. I also love how he doesn't really seem to have much patience with regular Titans as well. There's a great scene where Mike is actually being bitten down on by this Titan, and he actually asks him to stop. So the Beast Titan just decides to grab this Titan by the head and just squeezes it until his eyeball just explodes out. You actually get to see it like jumping up in the frame right next to the Beast Titan. It really establishes how powerful it is, and you can even see the other Titans are sort of like cowering behind the trees when they see this thing, almost as if they don't want to work with it, but they have no choice but to be controlled by this thing. I'm just pumped up, guys. I loved this episode right here. Everybody's going to be talking about it. Everybody's going to be watching it. And I can't wait to hear your opinions about the episode. You heard my thoughts. I thought it was a 5 out of 5. Make sure to tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Attack on Titan in the comments section below. Were you impressed by the very first episode? What did you think of the Beast Titan? Do you have any theories as to what it actually is? Try to be considerate of non-manga readers. If you need to put a spoiler, put a little spoiler warning there, because I really don't want to know too much of what's going to be happening in the series. I would really appreciate that, as all of this is just completely blowing my mind, and seeing it unfold is, again, what makes this anime experience so special. So, there it is. Awesome series right here, fantastic intro, and it's just got me pumped up for the rest. What more can I say? Check it out, guys. Make sure to tell me what you thought about it, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. That way you can see all things Attack on Titan anime related, as well as a ton of other anime reviews. I'm also reviewing My Hero Academia this season. I just released my first review of that one, so check it out. And make sure to tell me what you thought about this week's episode in the comment section. I'd love to chat with you guys about this week's episode, about the good stuff, the bad stuff, the stuff you liked, the stuff you hated, and of course, if you like this review, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. I will see you guys next time. And as always, stay dandy, baby.